Ever since the George Floyd incident back in May, I've been very vigilant about being careful about what's going on around me. Right? George Floyd, it turns out, was arrested because he might have gotten a counterfeit bill and passed it. We don't know, right? Apparently, I keep trying to find out if the bill he was using really was counterfeit. I doubt he printed the bill. I mean, I'm just going by what I read on the news, but obviously a very unfortunate set of circumstances. But ever since that event, I've been much more mindful about my surroundings every time I go out. It was a big reason why I wanted to be a little bit more careful about my eating habits, my compulsive eating habits. I thought about what would happen if I were craving something and all I wanted to do was to get it, and maybe the police wanted to question me about something, and it slowed me down, and my mind I wouldn't be operating on all my cylinders in that case, right? It might put me under the influence of having the craving, right? I don't want to be juggling that. Anyway, so I'm sitting on my bed programming something on my computer when all of a sudden I have some bad posture and my feet fall asleep, right? And it got me really worried because it made me worry if I'm in public and officer points a gun at me and says freeze and get up or something, and my foot's half asleep like this, I'm gonna run into trouble. I know it's a very far-fetched scenario, but ever since George Floyd, I've been trying to be more vigilant. I guess I'm a little bit more biased to this because I've had encounters with police before. I've spent time in a juvenile detention center as a child, and recently, I've been living in my car on and off for a number of years, and obviously you run into police encounters quite a bit, right? Sometimes not necessarily bad encounters, but they want to make sure you're okay, right? You're parked somewhere, maybe the store that you're parked at is closed, somebody's concerned about you, and they just want to check that you're okay. Most of the time they don't even want you to leave the area, right? It's alright, right? Okay, so one time I was driving in California when I got pulled over, and the officer wanted to just quickly look into my car. Now, I know there are some lawyers on YouTube who say you should never let a cop search your car without a warrant. It doesn't bother me because I don't let anybody else use my car. I mean, if I had friends who use my car, or maybe children, or somebody who might stash something in my car, sure, I can understand that concern, right? But I only use it for myself, at best when I'm carpooling with a coworker, right? So I wasn't thinking too much about that. I was living in my car. There's a lot of stuff in the car, nothing crazy or anything. But as the officer was checking, he was about to open the back passenger door, and just the way the stuff was laid out in the car, an avalanche of stuff was going to fall out if he opened that door. And I got really nervous, and I ran up to the door, and his partner got really concerned about me running up to the door like that. He handcuffed me. They go through the car. It's not a big deal. Eventually, they apologize for the misunderstanding. And see, I should have started by saying that I lived in the car. Sometimes my pride gets in the way. I explained that I was just traveling through the area. I was actually more or less camping in the area, right? But so I'm a little bit biased. Had I had a food craving at the moment that was going on, or had my foot fallen asleep, or any number of things that made me uncomfortable, had I had an allergy attack of some sort, that could have ended badly, right? Now that I think of it. Sometimes it scares me when I think about my encounters with police, and then I think about what happened to George Floyd, or what happened to Breonna Taylor. It scares me sometimes. And that's why I've been very vigilant about my eating habits. At least it's one less problem, right? I feel so badly for people who due to whatever health condition or disability, they have various actions that somebody else might not understand, right? I'm trying to think what would be a good situation, what would be a good example. Oh, somebody might want to be reaching for like an asthma inhaler, or they might be shooting insulin, and it looks like a drug, right? I don't know. It makes me a little bit. It gave me a little boost to take good care of my body, because I don't want to run into a situation like that.